How is everybody this morning? Good. Super excited to be here. Thank you everyone for showing up and for being here and for adding to the energy. Just so I have a feel for who's all in the audience, could you guys, by raise of hand, if you're either a business owner or a marketer, raise your hand? Okay, awesome. So pretty much everybody. That means we have a good audience, and now I'm even more nervous than before, so I appreciate you guys for that. Today, the topic of conversation is going to be building more than brands and how we can use digital marketing to create a community. I want everybody, when you leave here today and you think about your marketing initiatives for your brand and for your company, the ultimate goal for you should be to create an online community. And we're going to talk through some ways that you can do that, some tips and some tricks. I'll share some stories of our successes and our failures of trying to do the same thing at Ascent Digital. But the idea is we want to really create an authentic online community with connections and real meaningful relationships. But before we do, I want to introduce myself. My name is Ben Sorensen. I'm the founder and the president of Ascent Digital. Ascent Digital is a full-service digital marketing agency. We're based in Durango, Colorado, but we serve clients all over the country. We've even had international clients. Founded the company in 2021. But I come from a decade worth of experience at a media-backed agency before that, studied marketing in college, competed in DECA, if anybody's heard of DECA. You're looking at a DECA state champion, so I just want everyone to know, yeah, pretty proud of that. But my point is, been doing marketing literally my whole life, super passionate about it. And there's a lot of really exciting things now with kind of the evolution of technology and platforms and things like that we get to utilize at Ascent Digital. But my personal favorite by far is content marketing, because I really believe that the way we make people feel matters. And we get to use content marketing to evoke emotion, to create connection, and to build a community. So while we do all sorts of things from, you name it, across the spectrum of digital marketing services, my personal favorite is content marketing, which is what we're going to talk about today. By raise of hand again, who woke up this morning and eagerly checked what your favorite brand posted on social media? Did anybody? Darn it. So that sale post we made yesterday didn't get a ton of engagement and we don't know why. But who woke up this morning and saw what a loved one posted on social media, or a family member, or a friend, or somebody like that? Anybody? Right? That's because humans like to connect with humans. And so one of the concepts that I want us to take away from today is not only do we want to build more than brands and build communities, we want to humanize our brands. We want to be engaging, we want to be authentic, we want to have people relate with us, and not just be that sort of nameless, logo or stock image that we post with the sale post. And that is because we need to understand as brands and as marketers that consumer behavior has evolved, and it's evolved significantly. So with the evolution of technology and information sharing, and really even just human behavior shifting to this incredibly focused world of digital interactions, consumer behavior has evolved in a very significant way, to the point where consumers are very savvy. They're way more researched than they've ever been before. They're also, though, way more brand loyal and more educated, because they're getting conditioned now to have all of the information that they need literally at the tips of their fingers. And so we need to recognize that, and we need to know that as consumer behavior has evolved and as human behavior has evolved, we need to evolve in order to effectively communicate with our audiences. The other thing is that we're living now in a saturated online landscape. So I would argue that no matter what industry you're in, no matter what business you're in or who you serve or what your target audience is, you're likely living in a very saturated world. And it's because through the evolution of technology and social media and information sharing, borders sort of don't matter anymore. Even if you're a brick and mortar retail store, odds are high that you get business from online, you do e-commerce sales, people travel in to see you, whatever it might be. So even in the most hyper local of situations, we have essentially a global audience. And what does that mean? That means that competition is at an all-time high. It means that the landscape is flooded with content and that people are just bombarded with information. And so what that means is that we have to find a way to stand out, and we need to find a way to differentiate ourselves from the competition. And we're going to dive into that here in a little bit, but I'll give you a teaser first that it's not nearly as hard as it seems to stand out. The other thing I want to point out too, if everybody has heard of the word AI, kind of a buzzword, it's kind of a thing. I don't know if you're aware of it or not, but it's this new thing that's sort of happening. But if you're familiar with ChatGPT or other AI tools, what's happening is that content is getting exponentially easier to produce. And so when we're living in this world with all of these different variables in terms of, lack of borders, increasing competition, but we're also now living in a world with an exponential increase in content. And so it's even more important now that the content we produce as brands and as marketers stands out from that. And we're going to talk a little bit about why. But the other part of it is, and this is where I think we actually have an amazing opportunity with the increase in things like AI, is that people buy from people. And people are desperate now for authentic interactions, authentic relationships, authentic loyalty. And, we're living at a time now, we've talked about how consumer behavior has evolved and even humanity. Loneliness is at an all-time high. Mental health struggles are at an all-time high. And so we're kind of living in this interesting kind of dichotomy of realities where we're more connected than we've ever been, but at the same time, we're lonelier than we've ever been. And I think that that is an amazing opportunity for people that want to create real, meaningful relationships online. And as a business, you get to do that too, and it creates a win-win situation where you're adding value to your customers are being loyal to you, and we're actually making what I believe are meaningful human connections, meaningful real relationships. And an auxiliary benefit is obviously the exchange of dollars and the business side of it. So, but the first thing is we want to talk about how to humanize our brand and building more than brand. First thing is important that we understand of what a brand is, right? So a lot of people think that a brand is a logo. A brand is so much more than a logo. The way that I describe a brand is the way that people feel when they interact with your business. And it's important to know that that translates way beyond just your logo. It's the way that you answer the phone. It's the way that your lobby smells. It's the layout of your website. It's the messaging that's in your advertising. It's the voice that you put out when you publish social media content or things like that. Anytime anybody interacts with your business at any level, it's an impression on your brand. And brand matters. As I mentioned earlier, I've been doing digital marketing professionally for 15 years now. And in the last probably 3 years, I have a profound new appreciation for the power of brand. And I think that it ties in with this idea that we're desperate for something real. We're desperate to really feel something. And so I want you to really bring home how important your brand is and how important it is that you're consistent in the ways that you message your brand. So stay with consistent voice, stay with consistent messaging, colors, even verbiage. If there are components of your brand that matter, think about how you can work that into the other components of your business, because consistency in brand is going to go a long way. Through consistency in brand and through interaction and content marketing, which we're going to dive into, the goal is to create a community. So I don't know if anybody's familiar with the author Simon Sinek. He has this idea of start with why, and the why behind the business that you're building or the service that you're offering. And there's also a belief that I have where talking about this idea of people needing connection and community and things like that, that people like us do things like that. And people want to feel part of a group. People want to feel part of something that they can participate in. So what I'm going to encourage you guys to do as brands and marketers and business owners is think of the types of clients that you want to attract. Who's fun to work with? Who's the best type of client for you? Who's the best customer? And now act like you want them to be part of your community. My personal definition for community is active participation amongst all members. So if you think about a real life community at the most basic level, we're all contributing, we're all helping, we're all participating in this idea of a real life in-person community. Well, the exact same thing applies in the digital landscape. And so it's no longer enough as companies and as businesses to, post some stock images with a hashtag strategy onto your social media, turn away and leave it and expect to build a community. We have to participate. We have to engage. We have to actually be part of the community that we're building. And the best way to do that is to be an active participant in the community. And I'm going to dive into some examples here, but you would be amazed at the signals that your customers are sending you that are saying, hey, I want to be part of your community. And businesses over and over again are ignoring it and not engaging and not taking advantage of the participation that we're starting to see. The other very important thing to recognize is that we all have two communities. And the first one, I believe, is by far the most important. The first community is our internal community. So that's going to be our employees, our vendors, our partners, and it's very important that we have consistent messaging and interactions with our internal community. And it matters because they speak to our external community on behalf of us. So remember that people want to be a part of something and to give them an opportunity to participate. There was a while back, and I was going to show this example video, but we're having some audio issues with the presentation. But if you notice, I'm wearing my Ascent Digital shirt and my hat. And there was a while back we had a new employee start, and he was wearing literally the exact same outfit as myself. And so we took a selfie and we posted it to social media and tagged each other. And then just organically we started tagging our other team members. And at the time, we had members sort of throughout the country. We had members in North Carolina and Arizona and Colorado and all over the place. And we were just saying Ascent selfies and, everybody send it in and participate. And that's our internal community feeling a part of something. And it was really powerful to see that everybody was super excited about it. And team members who would never in a million years post a selfie got on board, posted a selfie, grabbed their dog or whatever it might be. And our content for that day on our Instagram stories was 10 or 12 really fun, authentic employees in action. Some of them were on shoots, others were in sales meetings, wherever it might be kind of throughout the country, but posting their selfie and saying Ascent selfies, which for us was really cool because it created a team dynamic. But for our external community and for our external audience, they got to see the brand that we're trying to build and the authenticity we're bringing to what we do, which is that we're passionate about it. We're passionate about digital marketing. We're passionate about helping businesses grow. And it was just a really powerful little example of how your internal community communicates with your external community. And so do not forget about your employees and your other team members and things like that, because they're going to be an extension of your brand and of your business. Second community, external. Those are going to be customers, clients, prospects, potentials, things like that. And as I mentioned here, that they are the second most important community, but I don't want to glance over that. They're obviously super, super important. And I think that it's important to think about really anybody on the other end of our content is that second community. So that could be, other industry leaders, partnership opportunities. It's been amazing for us to see how when we're posting quality content, the type of businesses that we're attracting. Which brings me to the next one. So we kind of talked about this idea that we're living in a saturated world now with the influx of AI and essentially instant content generation. I believe now that it's more important than ever that we focus on quality over quantity. So my advice to everybody in the room would be stop trying to go viral and stop trying to influence mass. There's an incredibly powerful concept in this idea of micro influence and a small but mighty powerful community. Zeb in his presentation this morning talked about the 80-20 rule, and that applies everywhere. You'll see that it applies with your employees, it applies with your clients and things like that. But really all we need is 20% of our audience to be that incredibly loyal, real engaged followers. And you'll see that that's far more valuable than one viral TikTok post that gets a couple million views from an irrelevant audience that nobody cares about. I would much rather have 5 meaningful interactions than 5,000 meaningless interactions. Although going viral is sometimes fun, but it's not, it's fun. That's kind of where it ends. And so what I would encourage you guys to do when you're thinking about this idea of using our content marketing strategies to intentionally build communities is, what would your organization look like if you had your ideal employees and you had your ideal clients, your ideal customers? And how can you put messaging out that is going to attract the ideal clients and the ideal employees? My advice for sure is that we stop selling, and stop selling immediately. I'm going to encourage everybody in this room, never, ever, ever make a sales post on social media ever again. And I know that sounds counterintuitive. I know it sounds crazy. We're all here to sell the goods or the services that we produce, but do not sell on social media anymore. Instead, add value. And my belief is that there's 3 ways. We have basically 3 options for strategies for our content marketing. We can either educate, entertain, or inspire. Thinking about those 3 kind of veins of options for content, educate, entertain, or inspire, it's very important that it stays on brand. So at Ascent Digital, for example, we do a Motivation Monday post. Every Monday we post something that's inspiring or motivational or whatever it might be. It usually has nothing to do with, in fact, probably all of the time, it has nothing to do with digital marketing. It's usually about life or pursuing goals or overcoming adversity or whatever it might be. But I have a personal initiative of empowering people and inspiring people. And so I've intentionally worked that into our culture and our internal communities. And so every Monday we post a Motivational Monday post. On Wednesdays, we publish blogs that are very educational, and we publish those blogs to our website, and then we share a little teaser video about them on our social media. For our entertaining type content, we really enjoy making behind the scenes reels when we're on commercial shoots. And so what we're doing though is purposefully being entertaining, educating, or inspiring, and we never sell anything ever. From a business perspective, your return on investment with an initiative like that is going to be 0 right out the gate. And you need to just know that and be comfortable with that we're embarking on a very, very long-term endeavor with a very long time horizon in terms of return. But if you're consistent with it, and if you stick with your strategy, the return on investment grows exponentially over time. So we've been doing it consistently now at Ascent Digital since 2021, and majority of our business referrals comes from our social media channels. In fact, Chase had a meeting the other day that they were so complimentary, and it made my day to hear the feedback from how we're actually impacting lives and inspiring people and motivating people from our content. And the fact that it turned into business a few years later is just the cherry on top for us. It's fun to see that engaging. And then here's where I skipped ahead, that people like us do things like this and the power of micro influence. But the idea would be that you have amazing opportunities as businesses, as brands, and as marketers to give people a glimpse of what your world looks like, or to show what it's like to work with your customers or your product or whatever it might be. And you can create this desire for people to be a part of that and to join that community. So we talked about how to stop selling, and I hope everybody wrote that down. I'm very serious about that. Never sell again on social media. But the caveat to stopping selling and beginning a storytelling initiative is that it has to be authentic. And I have a personal belief that we're living in a world now where authenticity is disruptive. I'm going to say that again so that it sinks in. Authenticity is disruptive. And so many people that we work with, brands, business owners, marketers, are so afraid to be authentic. And I want to encourage you right now, lean into your authentic self. Lean into your brand. Be who you are, because that's going to be the easiest way for you to stay on brand. It's going to be the easiest way for you to create, original and new content. And it's also going to be the most attractive way for you to participate in the community that you're building. It's like life. It's like real life. If you're trying to be someone that you're not and participate in a real life community, you're going to get exhausted. People are going to see through it, and it's just simply not going to work. Same thing applies to our content marketing strategies and our digital communities, is that authenticity is disruptive. You guys know how many times we've seen, trying to think how to say this politically correctly, large corporations that sort of jump on bandwagon trends. And, maybe it's something that's, I don't know, an initiative or a movement or whatever, which are amazing to participate in if it's authentic to you, if it actually matters to you. We all know now, and we're talked about how consumer behavior has evolved and people are so much more savvy now than they used to be. If you see a brand, I call it the corporate salute, and I'm making sure I stay politically correct and all of that stuff. But it's so clear when a brand is doing something because they think it will benefit their bottom line, as opposed to when a brand is doing something because it matters to them. And so because of that, I had something I wanted to make sure to mention to the whole group in here. Ascend Digital right now, we've started it's called a Giver's Grant. We've got a core philosophy that we believe that givers gain. And the best way for us to grow is to continue to add value. If anybody wants to, later today, we're giving away a $25,000 full-blown marketing and advertising package. The caveat is that it's for a business that deserves it and a business that needs it. And so we're having a nomination process. And if you guys want to, go to our website and you can click the nominate button and help us find a business that we can make a meaningful impact on. And the reason I'm bringing that up is not to toot our horn or anything like that. It's that you'll notice we haven't shared that to social media. We're not advertising it. We're not putting a bunch of money behind it. We obviously will because we need, because we need participation and nominations. But it's coming up from a very sincere place for us where we feel like we've got these amazing tools under our roof to make a meaningful impact on a business that deserves it. And that excites us. And our audience is going to feel that because they'll know that it's sincere. And so what I'm going to ask everybody to do is, when in doubt, put it out. If it's authentic to you, it's going to be authentic to your audience. And if you think it's important, your audience is going to think it's important, because that's what you're doing, is you're building a real community with real connections of like-minded people. And so my hope is that takes a lot of the fear away from what to post, or I don't know how to do the TikTok dance, or how do I do this transition on my reel, or whatever it might be. Stop worrying about all of that. Be yourself, because people need that. People need authenticity. Forget the filter, forget the trend, be yourself. Authenticity is disruptive. The next thing to take away is that engagement equals success. So what I'm going to encourage everybody to do here with your content marketing initiatives and your content marketing strategies is to stop trying to measure success from a transactional perspective. Instead, start trying to measure success by engagement. Because if you're getting engagement, it means you're striking a nerve, and it means you're building a community. Don't worry at all if they're going to buy, if they're, your ideal client, if money is being, exchanging hands right out the gate. Instead, try to engage. And like I'd mentioned, a critical component of community is active participation amongst all members. And so are you ready for it? This is going to scare everybody. You have to engage too. So when you have customers that are commenting on your posts, or liking on your posts, or following you, or subscribing to your YouTube channel, or whatever it might be, you need to engage back, because they're literally waving their hand and saying, I want to be a part of your community. And if we don't engage back, we're essentially turning our back on them and saying, thanks, but no thanks. I'm worried about my post that's tomorrow. I see over and over and over again, businesses and brands and individuals that have comments on their pages that aren't being responded to, that they haven't liked. There's a bit of an interesting kind of caveat, especially with the younger generation, in terms of your following to follower ratios on social media. Forget about all of that. Follow the people that you want part of your community. Engage in their content forever. Because I've kind of been going down this path, this sort of simultaneous path lately of building my personal brand while also building the Ascent Digital business brand. And I throw out lights like they're free, because they are. And it's an amazingly powerful tool. And again, it comes back from that idea though, that authenticity is disruptive. People will also be able to tell if your engagement is fake, if you're doing it just to engage. But if you take just those little extra minutes, extra moments to comment on, for us, we're in the B2B space. And so I use social media to pay attention to my clients. I use social media as a prospecting tool. I use it to, keep a pulse on industries and things like that. But I also use it as customer service, is to stay engaged and to let my clients know that I'm thinking about them, even if I don't have time for the meeting today or the phone call or whatever it might be. But it comes from a place of genuine caring, genuinely interested and invested in their business and their personal lives. And when you engage with them, you help them on a very real level. Algorithmically, you're helping their content get seen by more people, but you're also showing them that you're part of their community and that they're part of your community and that we're in this together. And I am telling you guys, with the influx and just immense saturation of content and fake content and filtered photos and, influencer world, people are desperate for that. And if you can find the time and find the ways to do it from a real perspective, you will make profound impacts on the businesses that you want to work with, the customers that you want to be your customers, and things like that. You just have to start doing it. And once you start to see consistent engagement, you know that you're starting to build a community and you know that you're putting out content that's valuable. One thing I want to encourage everybody to, talking about authenticity and being vulnerable and things like that, rule of thumb, when in doubt, put it out. Don't second guess your content. Don't try to perfect it. Don't get too nervous about it. It's really a very low risk endeavor. Some people can think that this is pretty discouraging. I think it's very empowering. We've talked about at length now how saturated the online world is, how much content there is that's out there. Worst case scenario, you ready for this? You put something out that flops. Do you want to know what the worst case scenario is? Nobody sees it. So who cares? But if it resonates and if it connects, then people will see it, they'll engage with it, and then the algorithm does its thing and it sends it out. So I want to bring that up to say, take the fear out of it. There is nothing wrong with a social post that doesn't perform well. You learned something, and pay attention to those signals. What types of content is getting the most engagement? Is it when you're doing, a day in the life? Is it when you have the dog that walks into your shop and, or the beautiful sunset or whatever it might be, or your blooper reel or the funny stuff or the stressed stuff, and how hard it is to be a business owner and how hard it is to be a marketer and things like that. If nobody engages with it, it's no harm, no foul, but people might, and you might actually add value. You might actually build a connection. And so when in doubt, put it out, and then pay attention to the stuff that does create engagement and the things that do grow your audience. And then obviously do more of that. Which brings me to the next part of this, is that the reality is we still have to pay to play. So I believe that content marketing is the most powerful tool from a strategic marketing plan. However, as we mentioned, it has a very, very long time horizon in terms of a return. And it's something that you have to do consistently. But you can start to pay attention to these signals through your content marketing and then apply them in your paid effort that then makes your return on investment from your paid effort happen more quickly and with a higher percentage return on investment. When it comes to advertising, the idea should be that you've worked really hard on creating this organic community online, and you've defined through that who it is and the messaging that resonates with them. And then we can expand on that from a paid perspective. So I like to look at our advertising strategies with really three main pillars. Who are we talking to? What are we telling them? And where are we telling it? On what platform? So that's who's our audience, what's our messaging, and what's our platform. And through your organic community building and your content marketing, you should have a very good idea of who your community is, who your target audience is, the type of messaging that resonates with them, and the platforms that they engage with the most. And once you have that, and now you can deploy a paid advertising strategy, you're 10 steps ahead of any of the competitors who are guessing or A/B testing or whatever it might be. Because we all know at the end of the day, whether it's Facebook or YouTube or Instagram or TikTok or any of these platforms, they're for-profit businesses. And while they are incredible tools for community building and organic content marketing, they also are there to make money. But if we're intentional about how we give them our money is spent more wisely. One of the things that we've found is that there's been a huge shift in vertical format video. So I'm sure everybody's aware now of the rise of Reels and short format vertical video. It's funny because I'm going to give you my secret sauce here if you're ready for it. When we're deploying ads for clients, most of the time we're using the ad creative as their best performing organic Reels. And I know that sounds crazy for me to say because we specialize in, creatives and ad messaging and all that stuff, but we're paying attention to those signals because it matters. And when there's a reel that has performed well organically for one of our clients, we literally take that reel and we put money behind it and we target it and we get it in front of a like-minded audience. And it's coming back to that idea that people like us do things like that. And we know that if that resonated with our built and our own community, that it's going to resonate with our paid and our future communities. So again, I'm saying that to take the guesswork out of this stuff and to hopefully take some of the fear out of it. We meet with clients all the time that are, we're crushing it from an organic perspective, and then we spend hours and days and everything kind of analyzing the ad creative, and it's so much more simple than that. It's as simple as anything. If we know who we're talking to, what we're telling them, and where we're telling it, the likelihood of success is extremely, extremely high.